Welcome everybody. So my name is Ibrahim Ahmed and I am here in a senior database architect at Percona. So today's topic is joining heterogeneous databases is a reality, not a myth. So I will start presenting my presentation here. So why? Actually, the problem is when you want to access data from multiple sources, then the question arises, why you need that, because the problem is when there is a huge database cluster where you have a multiple databases, then you require a system where you want to collect data from different data sources. So how you can do that? This is a simple statement. You can see in the screen that I have MySQL, PostgreSQL, Hadoop, MongoDB, ClickHouse, Hive, and a simple file system. These are multiple data sources, and you want to access the data from all of these database engines. So what will you do? A simple query, select static from multiple database engine and generate results. Won't work because it's not a language. So you require some kind of a system where you can pull data from PostgreSQL, MySQL, Hadoop, MongoDB, Oracle, Hive, ClickHouse. So you require a system. So that's the question I want to answer here in my presentation. So whenever you build an application, you see you have an application architecture where you have an as user application and you have on a databases. So in this diagram, you can see you have a user application on very left side of the screen. And on your right side of your screen, you can see a different databases, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Mongo, and etc. So when you're building your application, when you're writing your application, you can see here is the box where you need to write a application along with a module of MySQL, where you use libmysql client library to connect to MySQL. So in that application, you need to write a MySQL module, which is using libmysql client to access from MySQL. Secondly, if you want to access your PostgreSQL data, then you need to develop a PostgreSQL module. Then you need a libpq library, and you need to access you need a libpq library to access PostgreSQL. Similarly, for MongoDB, and you need a libmongoc or any C library to access to the MongoDB. So if you have some Spark, Hive, and Hadoop, which usually access using JDBC, so you require a JDBC module. So you require expertise to write a JDBC code to access Spark, Hive, and Hadoop. So for ClickHouse, you need ODBC. So when you are developing an application, you require expertise to write a code, expertise to see in Java, and you need expertise to use the libmysql client library, libpq library, libmongoc library, JDBC, ODBC. That means a lot of libraries you required in your system first, and you need a lot of expertise to use that library. And then when you are getting data from these databases, from using these libraries, then you need to join them within your application. For example, you go to the MySQL library and got the data from MySQL, from PostgreSQL, from Mongo, and you want to join that data. So that you need to do that in your application. So that is the pain. Because if you want to filter your data based on some condition, then you have to pull all the data from MySQL, from PostgreSQL, from Mongo, and filter out your data within your application. That's another problem, because you don't require that amount of data you are pulling from the databases. So this is a question I'm not answering. I will answer. This is the answer I'm going to give you. SQLMath, it's a SQL to manage external data. It's a standard. It's an ISO standard, And PostgreSQL start implementing that in core in PostgreSQL version 9.1. So it required some kind of a mechanism, a machinery within the core PostgreSQL system where the other application developer can develop foreign data wrapper for that database. So main thing is the core machinery required in database, and PostgreSQL start implementing that SQL MED in PostgreSQL version 9.1. And along with that, they have also developed a PostgreSQL foreign data wrapper for like PostgreSQL database, and you want to access another PostgreSQL, so you want to access an external PostgreSQL within the PostgreSQL, then you require foreign data wrapper. So they develop PostgreSQL foreign data wrapper, and they give an API, a callback system to the user, so they can implement their own foreign data wrappers. So here is the link. If you can go there, you can see dozens of foreign data wrapper, even many more foreign data wrapper you can see for almost every database. You can see a foreign data wrapper for that. What does that mean? That mean if you have a foreign data wrapper for MySQL, that mean you can access MySQL data, external MySQL database within the PostgreSQL using that MySQL foreign data wrapper. So if you want to access an external database, then you require a foreign data wrapper of that database within the PostgreSQL. So then you can access that. So how? I will let you know how. So here is an application architecture too. You can see it's I just change the position of some module and eliminate some module from it. So why? If you see here, you have a user application, and in that user application, you require only a PostgreSQL module. Keep in mind, you want to access MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, Spark, Hadoop, Hive, and ClickHouse, but you only require a PostgreSQL module. You don't require any MongoDB, Spark, and Hive module. In previous architecture, you required that, but now you don't require any of the module of other database. You require only PostgreSQL module. So in that PostgreSQL module, you only connect to PostgreSQL using libpq or any JDBC, ODBC. You just only need to connect to PostgreSQL. So in first phase, you don't need expertise to implement MongoDB module, Spark module, JDBC module. You don't need an expertise of that. Secondly, you don't need to maintain these libraries within your application. I will one. That's the end one. So you connect PostgreSQL, and PostgreSQL you need to install foreign data wrapper, which is usually used as the FDW within the PostgreSQL. You need to install that. You need to install the extension of foreign data wrapper within the PostgreSQL. So where will you get these extensions? So the first one is the PostgreSQL FDW. So PostgreSQL core already have that extension. So you don't need to install that extension. So it's already there in PostgreSQL. So for MySQL, there is a GitHub page. You can go there and you can download MySQL FDW. Even you can, its RPMs or Debian packages are also available for that. So MongoDB FDW, it's already available. HDFS FDW, these are all available on GitHub pages. So you can go, you can search that. You can install using PG extensions also. So now you are only connecting to PostgreSQL, and PostgreSQL foreign data wrapper will connect on behalf of you to MySQL, to PostgreSQL, to MongoDB, to Spark, to Hadoop, to Hive, and ClickHouse. And you are not requiring any kind of a library to connect to these databases. These foreign data wrappers will connect and get the data for you from these databases. You only need a syntax of PostgreSQL, a PostgreSQL library, and PostgreSQL module. That's it. And these databases will collect data for these foreign data wrappers will collect data from these DBMS engines for you. And the last one, which is a benefit, the benefit is it will filter out the within the PostgreSQL and join data within the PostgreSQL and give you final result to your application. In your application, you don't need data. PostgreSQL will do that, and client will get the final result of the data. So that's the major benefit of that. So the next one. So if you are not able to getting my point here, so I have an example here. Simplify the whole concept of foreign data wrapper. Like you have a PostgreSQL database where you are saving states of United States, and you have a MySQL database where you are saving the countries or country names. So third one is where you are storing the flight information. It's a ClickHouse database. It's another column store. So you have multiple tables. Like first table is PGTBL states. It's PostgreSQL table. And MySQL has a MySQL table continents, MySQL table countries, and ClickHouse table on time. So these tables are on different databases. So if you keep in mind on the first architecture, then you have to connect to PostgreSQL and get the data from states table. And you have to connect to MySQL to get the data from continents and countries table, similarly with the ClickHouse. So we will do that using foreign data wrapper. So first, you need to install, create an extension of MySQL. So keep in mind that MySQL FTW, you need to download that libraries and install that. Then you need to create that extension. So the first statement is create extension MySQL DB underscore FTW. If it's not installed on your system, you will get that it's control file not found. A file not found control is a MySQL FTW dot control file not found error message. You will get that. That's mean it's this extension is not installed. So you already installed the extension. So now you need to create a server. So what does that mean, server? Server means you have to specify the location where your MySQL server is. So you are within the PostgreSQL and you are telling PostgreSQL server that this 127.0.0 host and port 3306 is my MySQL server address. That means whenever you access MySQL underscore SVR, this one, it means it's a MySQL server because it's the MySQL FTW and it is running on 127.0.0.1 and port number 3306. So you here, it's not necessarily 3306, or it can be any, but MySQL should be running on that port too, obviously. Then you need to create a mapping. Why mapping? Mapping means that when you access PostgreSQL and want to access MySQL, so there should be some kind of a mapping because you don't need to provide a MySQL password again and again. So you are creating a mapping that whenever you access PostgreSQL using user PostgreSQL, it will connect to MySQL server using this username, MySQL user, and MySQL password. That means whenever you connect to your PostgreSQL server using Postgres user, it will connect to MySQL server using MySQL user and MySQL password. You can specify any. If you create a separate mapping, like create user mapping for any other user like foo server MySQL server, option username X, password Y. That means whenever you accessing Postgres using user foo, it will connect MySQL using username A, X, and Y, password Y. So it's a mapping between PostgreSQL user and MySQL user. So after that, and keep in mind, without creating a server and mapping, you cannot access tables. So now you are creating a foreign table. So it's kind of you are creating a sub kind of a mapping. It's not a physical table created by using this statement. Where you know that when you create table MySQL, any table, then it will create a table physically on your disk where you are specifying. But when you specify foreign, that means it will create only the metadata of that. It will not reserve any space for that. And where it will point to the server, MySQL server, and option is DB name DB. So what does that mean? It means we have created a table, MySQL table continents, which has two columns, code and name, and it is pointing to the server MySQL underscore SVR within the database name DB of MySQL. This DB name DB is a MySQL database. It's not PostgreSQL database. That means we created a mapping of not mapping. You can metadata of a table with two columns and pointing that to storage to that to MySQL server, which is installed, which is running on 127.0.0.1 port number 3306 and within the database DB. And similarly, we have created another table and its name in MySQL table countries. So we have created a two table metadata which are pointing to the MySQL tables within the database DB. So now we also need to access the ClickHouse. So for ClickHouse, we are also create extension ClickHouse DB underscore FTW. So create extension ClickHouse FTW, ClickHouse DB underscore FTW. It will create an extension. So similarly, create server will create a server of foreign data wrapper ClickHouse FTW, and it has a slightly different options because it's we are not providing the IP address here. You can provide the IP address and other thing, but here we can specify the database name also, because every foreign data wrapper has its own options. It's dependent on the who implement this foreign data wrapper. So the ClickHouse required a DB name in server name, and it also required a ODBC driver. So we need to provide the ODBC driver path for that. Otherwise, it will use a default ODBC driver if it's installed on the default location. If it's not installed on a default location, then it will pick using this one. Otherwise, third option, it will throw an error that ODBC is not installed. So here we also created a mapping for that. So that means whenever we connect to the PostgreSQL whenever we connect to PostgreSQL using Postgres user, then it will connect to ClickHouse server using ClickHouse user and ClickHouse password. You can specify anything. I just mentioned ClickHouse user. That means you can any specify X, Y, or any password. It's up to you. It's just an example. So here I have created another table. And at this time, if you see, I have specified foreign data wrapper, foreign server, which is ClickHouse server. That means ClickHouse TBL on time, this table points to the ClickHouse server. And interestingly, I have changed something here. Previously, I have not specified the table name. So if you not specify the table name, then this name ClickHouse TBL on time should exist remotely on ClickHouse. If you specify the name, table name, that means ClickHouse table name on time map to the ClickHouse server's on time table. So I have just changed it to give you the idea that if you specify the table name, then it will map to that table. If you don't provide any table name here, then the same name will be used on the remote server. And it should exist on remote system, both the cases. So here is an example. So I am selecting data, select static from MySQL table continents. So from where this data comes from. Similarly, select code, name, continent codes from MySQL countries limit 7. So just I'm selecting the 7 data. So from where this data is coming? So keep in mind, we are within the PostgreSQL. You can see it's a PostgreSQL. And we are querying a table, MySQL table. So this is the foreign table. And this will go to the foreign data wrapper and get the data from MySQL database and show it to you like a PostgreSQL table. So there is no difference between Postgres and MySQL table. So it's seamless. You are just selecting from table, but it's not a PostgreSQL table, actual PostgreSQL table. It's a foreign table. And the data exists in MySQL. It's not PostgreSQL data. And it's remotely stored on MySQL on both the table. So it's getting data from. So what I have told you, you wrote that query. This query has a syntax of PostgreSQL. So I have used syntax of PostgreSQL. And you are getting the data in PostgreSQL format. Data actually exists in MySQL. So that's the beauty of foreign data. If you are doing that in your application, then you have to connect to MySQL and you have to use the MySQL syntax to collect data, and it will give you the data in MySQL format. Then you have to convert into PostgreSQL format and something like that. That's a big thing. And this foreign data wrapper is doing that for you. Everything is done by foreign data wrapper. So this similar where data comes from. So here I'm selecting data, select countries, country name, and different, and I'm just applying some condition. So you are getting some data. So this condition is applied on remote system, not local system. Like if you are doing that in your application and you have to do that yourself, then you have to join, you have to mix two tables within your code. But when you are writing this query, you are sending this query to MySQL. You are using the PostgreSQL syntax. This is a PostgreSQL syntax query. And foreign data wrapper will convert that query into MySQL syntax and give back to you the result, a filtered, joined result in PostgreSQL format. So ClickHouse. So I have given you some complex example here. So now we are selecting something from ClickHouse table. Select a alias, so year, and joining two columns as value from a subquery where count and as C1 from ClickHouse on time table, and then inner join and select another subselect, and then adding some condition on that and then joining on. So it's a complex query. So we are sending this query to ClickHouse and ask ClickHouse to evaluate that query and give me the result of only. It has some kind of a trick here. So I will let you know in next slides. So that where you have to send the whole query, where you're sending not sending the whole query. That's some trick here. So I will let you know what's the trick here. So just keep in mind that we are sending this query for now and getting the result. So here, and this query will join PostgreSQL, a local data with MySQL remote data and ClickHouse remote data. That's the beauty, that you are writing a query in PostgreSQL format and which will join the three tables, one local PostgreSQL table, one remote MySQL table, and one remote ClickHouse table. And you are getting the final result in PostgreSQL format. So you can see left join within the MySQL and PostgreSQL table and then ClickHouse table. So you are getting the result here. So if I explain that query, so then what you will get, most of the people, you know that what is the explain. So if you don't know about the explain, that it's just a query plan, just a query plan. So every language, every DBMS has a system to show the query plan. So here is the query plan. You can see in the query plan, in the query plan, the query is divided into multiple subqueries, multiple query. Like the first query, we are reading from the bottom of that query. So we are sending a query to to ClickHouse. You can see the table on time. On time is a ClickHouse. So you can see the foreign data wrapper on time. Yeah, this one, the ClickHouse table on time. So we are sending this query to ClickHouse, and we are sending this query to MySQL, and this we are joining this query join filter, and we are using the hash condition and getting the final result. So what I have known, so what we can send to the remote system and what we cannot send to the remote system. So it's called a push down. Like if I have a condition and have an operator like is equal to something like operator. So we are sending this operator and function to the remote system to execute that function on the remote system. Secondly, predicates, a qualification push down. That means if we have some kind of a where condition, so we are not evaluating the where condition locally. That's a benefit. We are sending this where condition to the remote system. So we are getting the final result. We are not getting all the result and filter that result in our system. We are sending the where class to the remote system. So we are getting the less data. So similarly, aggregate push down. So we are sending an aggregate function to remote system to get the result. So that means we are not collecting all the data on our system and then aggregate that data. We are just sending the aggregate to the remote system, function to the system, and getting the final result. And again, the join push down. You have a two remote table and you want to have a query and joining these tables remotely. That's called a join push down. We are not collecting data of each table and joining in PostgreSQL. We're sending that to the remote system to join data for us. Here is an example. Join push down. You can see a remote query here. Select this, and left join, and you can see this join is executing remotely. Sorry. So Here example of aggregate push now. So here explain verb select count static from PostgreSQL. The Postgres is a foreign data wrapper here. So external table. So you can see in a remote query, we are sending count static from remote table. That's mean a remote system will calculate the rows and give me the final result of one value. But if you see in the second box, in the bottom, we are selecting count static from the MySQL. And MySQL does not have, MySQL foreign data wrapper does not have that capability. That's called aggregate push down. So in that case, we are selecting all the rows from MySQL and counting that. That's problem. And this is the problem in MySQL foreign data wrapper. Anybody can jump in and implement that aggregate pushdown in MySQL. So we have, I think we have 5 minutes left. So PostgreSQL query. This is the flow. We have a client. We are sending the query to PostgreSQL, and PostgreSQL convert that query into MySQL query, and the FTW connect to MySQL and send that MySQL query to MySQL. And then MySQL get the results, give the result to MySQL FTW, and MySQL FTW convert that result into PostgreSQL tuple format, and finally we are getting the client. So client is, if you see 1 and 8, client is sending PostgreSQL query and getting 8 result tuple in PostgreSQL format. So in between, all the steps has been done by FTW. So do we really need to do this step number 3 again and again? Connect, query, disconnect, like 3 and 6. No, there is a concept that we are just sending a query, first connecting to MySQL, and then if it's failed, then we connect that. That means we are retaining the connection for next query. So initially there is no connection, it will connect to MySQL and it will not disconnect it. So if you send the next query, it will use the same connection. So it's called a connection pooling within the FTW. And it depends on the FTW, it has a pooler or not. So if doesn't have, mostly the foreign data wrapper has that feature. So there is, I have not discussed this, which is called the DML support. Most of the foreign data wrapper has a DML support where you can insert the data in the table, because you have now table, the same table. So you can now insert that table, delete from that table, update to that table, like normal table. So you can do that. And these foreign data wrapper has that capabilities. So if you have any questions, and just ask the question. And the last thing, the Percona Live online will be on 20 or 21 October 2020, and it will be live online. So you have to be registered there. And thank you for this. If you have any question, so I'm waiting for that.